Hey YouTube. So, I read Avengers vs. X-Men recently, and I was a little surprised by some things Cyclops said during Consequences. I was sitting there thinking, when did Cyclops become such an ass? He seems more like Magneto than anything, really. I always thought of Cyclops as the Boy Scout, like Superman is in DC. Wolverine calls Cyclops Boy Scout on many occasions, but in Consequences, if you've read Avengers vs. X-Men, you know that the X-Men were in the right for like the first half of that story, up until the Phoenix possession bit. Then, just as always when someone's possessed by the Phoenix, the darker impulses surface, people died, but, it wasn't their fault. They didn't kill those people, the Phoenix did. And yet, Cyclops is just sitting in prison, accepting his fate, becoming a vigilante, and accepting all that he had done as the Phoenix. And all the other heroes are blaming him when it was Cap's idea to fight the Phoenix Force before it took a host, and it was Stark's invention that split the Phoenix Force into 5 separate entities, and it was Wolverine's misattributed passion that forced Cyclops to have to defend Hope and Utopia and his X-Men from the Avengers. But not Cyclops. No. He's being held responsible for things that he did while under the influence of the Phoenix Force. Do they not remember Onslaught? Xavier basically killed everyone. Cyclops only killed Xavier. And, might I reiterate, he did it as the Phoenix. Now, I mention Xavier. Professor X himself. The can-do-no-wrong teacher of the X-Men. Cyclops was basically raised by Professor X. So how can he just sit around and accept the blame for everything that he did when he wasn't even himself? And he claims he'd do it again, as if he were in control of his actions. Why? Well, I've been reading back issues. Onslaught, Dark Phoenix Saga, Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon. Xavier trained Scott to be the leader of the X-Men after he was gone, but the Professor never really let go of his X-Men. And every time he came back, he just couldn't appreciate how Scott led the team. In the Dark Phoenix Saga, here is a conversation between Cyclops and Professor X. The original X-Men were teenagers with no idea how to cope with their mutant abilities. We're not teenagers or beginners. You can't treat us like we are. I tried it that way. I failed. I am not you. No, sir, but you also haven't had much contact with the new X-Men. Since you formed the team, I've lived with them, worked with them, fought with them. First and foremost, we're individuals. We can't mesh into the same kind of team as the original X-Men because we're not the same kind of people. Forgive my bluntness, Scott. But to me, that betokens a failure of leadership on your part. This anarchy is a result of your failure to teach these mutants how to be a team. Professor, we are a team. Quiet. You're correct. I have been remiss in my duties. I have not taught the new X-Men in part because I trusted you to take that responsibility. That lapse will be speedily rectified. Xavier was a bastard. And it wasn't just Xavier. In Astonishing X-Men, during Joss Whedon's run, Cyclops spoke to Nick Fury. Nick Fury made it a point to talk down to Scott as if he were less than a person. Great conscientiousness, Fury. Acting as though mutants are less than people. And finally, there's Captain Wolverine, strolling in, trying to tell Scott that they know better about what needs to be done, when everyone knows that nobody knows what the fuck's gonna happen. I don't know why Marvel decided that Cyclops is gonna go all vigilante on us, but I'm interested in seeing what their plans are. Bishop says that Hope's still supposed to kill like 6 million non-mutant people, so that's still supposed to happen. Maybe the Cyclops we have right now is an imposter. Maybe he's gonna influence Hope and the Phoenix to kill people. Maybe the real Cyclops will show up last minute and save the world and prevent Bishop's future from happening. Maybe Cyclops will return possessed by the Creator, the only being more powerful than the Phoenix, according to the Watcher in the Dark Phoenix saga, which, as far as I know, has no other mentioning in the Marvel Universe. So that's it for my rant, and if you have any ideas on what Marvel is planning on doing with Cyclops, leave your ideas in the comments below. And I guess I'll see ya.